Hi everyone and welcome to Pixels, a podcast for the discerning gamer. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pixels, the show where we talk about video games, we talk about PC, consoles, mobile, and the industry in general. My name is Patrick Beja, and today I am welcoming the CEO of an incredibly important and popular company in the world of video game and media. That company is Yogscast, and that person is Mark Turpin. How's it going, sir?
I'm very important, so yes, you are very fortunate to have me on the show, and it's great for you to have me here.
Yeah, well,
I'm excited to do this. I did this ages ago.
Yeah, was a while back.
We haven't done it since. Well, I'm assuming that's because I'm so busy, and
exactly.
It's taken this long for you to build up the strength to get through it once again.
You know, I count myself and the listeners of this show lucky to have you on a second time. And I just don't want to ask too much of you because I know you might get annoyed after a while, so I pace them out.
I'm very quick to anger. That's one of my many faults. It's good. It's a great show, Pixels. It's a terrible movie, but...
I'm never going to live that one down. I had the show name way before the movie, by the way. But
I think that was 50% the reason they went with that name. They said, "Guys, it's trending right now on Google. We need to jump on that SEO." Exactly.
So we're going to talk about a bunch of video gamey things. The Nintendo Super NES Classic, along with the AtariBox, which no one really knows what it is, but we're going to speculate. There's a bunch of Blizzard news. There's PUBG selling 4 million. Markiplier being super influential, like he's the most influential influencer.
Do you invite, I'd like you to invite a supermodel on and then just talk about all these other more beautiful people. But no, please do carry on.
That would be interesting. So anyway, we're going to be talking about all of this. First one is the Super NES Classic, which everyone knew was coming. So it's going to be a little bit better.
Do you play the NES?
No, so that's...
Even so, I should say, rather than the NES.
The NES, you mean the NES Classic?
Yeah.
I didn't. And I don't, that's a thing that I don't quite understand. I mean, so first of all, the Super NES Classic is going to be a little bit better because there are better games. Basically, it's half the games or 2/3 of the number of games, but they're all great. They're all great games. There's 2 controllers included with the thing. It's like $89 or $99. It's a little bit more expensive, but because there's a second controller, it kind of makes sense.
$79.
$79. Okay, so it's not too expensive. It's again a super good present.
You just can't get them. You just can't get them. Again, as with the NES Classic, Nintendo made 4, obviously. So with the NES Classic, it sold out super quick, and no one really was expecting it to begin with. And then obviously the SNES, people were hoping. And I think sold out even quicker. Everywhere I looked, it was just gone instantly.
Yeah, they're getting more. They're getting more stock, and Nintendo did say that they made more, and they plan to have more than for the NES. But the thing is, I kind of have dual feelings with this because I understand they're never going to make enough to sell for everyone who wants one. But at the same time, I don't understand the people who want one. It's like you're going to play this thing. Maybe, a handful of people are going to play it seriously for a long time. Most people are going to play it for a couple of hours, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's the reality of any of us who do have some of our old consoles stored away up in the attic. You bring it down and you plug it in, you maybe get it working, and then it's amazing for an hour.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, and like GoldenEye. Do you remember GoldenEye on the
N64?
N64?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, amazing game. Obviously, try playing it now. Like, the control scheme is so awkward, and it's so just, what is going on?
And that's like, the important thing. It's not just the graphics. Like, obviously the graphics are going to be old, and in the case of a 3D game like GoldenEye, really horrendous. But apart for probably, Super Mario World and Zelda 3, which are two games that still control really well and are really enjoyable. I'm guessing there's another one or two, but other than those, most games are not going to play very well. So
no, exactly. I mean, you've got Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which is a great game, and people should experience it. However, an even better game is Breath of the Wild on a more expensive console, albeit, but one that there'll be more than 21 games on. You can play Star Fox 2, which has never been released. Now, I don't know if that says to me classic or, fantastic game. Often really good games, they get released, they get put out there. Now, I know Star Fox 2 would have had its own nuances and, things that maybe it was too late in a console.
And I think people are going to buy the Super NES Classic to play Star Fox 2. It's going to be for the... And anyway, I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on this. It's basically the same debate as it was for the Nintendo.
The cool thing about it is they've done a European SNES, because our SNES look different. So we have a European SNES Classic where we've got the colourful controllers. They're not just like Parma Violet Purple.
Like the Japanese one.
Exactly, and a different shape.
So ours is basically the Japanese shape, the Japanese version. And I think the Americans had that weird blocky one.
So it'd be interesting. Again, it's not something I would buy. I would get like a Raspberry Pi that played all the games. Just so it's like, there you go. If you want to do that, almost for people socializing, coming around. It's like, do you want to play a really old game? But I don't know.
And since you own all the games in the attic, it would be,
obviously,
considered
legally,
legal. Yeah.
Well, even then, I don't know how legal it is.
Yeah, I'm just arguably legal. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I'm thinking that I'm going to take the risk on Nintendo finding out where I live and sending the fuzz round. As it stands, like I said, I would just much rather, with the time I have, if someone said to me, "Do you want to play a game? Do you want to play, I don't know, The Last of Us?" Or do you want to play Horizon Zero Dawn? Or do you want to play Star Fox 2? Or do you want to play Punch-Out? Or Kirby's Dream Course? I don't know. I'm going to go for those new, rich, zeitgeisty things than an old game that's just nostalgia that would burn me out. But they are cool. They look cool. I like the fact they're mini. I like the fact that they're fun looking things. I just think, again, it's more fan service than anything else.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello? Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry.
So, I understand the benefit of having an HDMI connector and all of that. But, really, it's not... I don't understand. I mean, maybe people are just looking for a couple of hours of fun, and that's it. And, that's fine. But if you think you're going to be playing Kirby's Dream Course and Castlevania for hours on end, it's just a nostalgia trip. And, some people are going to play them, but yeah.
Yeah. It's older gamers with kids who are like, you know what I played when I was your age? This. We're going to sit down as a family and we're going to play games properly. I haven't got to worry about any cussing or any violence. It's all blocks and stuff, and we're going to have fun.
And the kid is crying and going but I want to play Batman Lego!
Yeah, it's like, nope. You can't go on Call of Duty and tell people about the times you've had with their mothers. You need to play Kirby's Dream Course.
Right. And some people have been doing fun things like going through the history of video games with their kids and stuff like that. But anyway, another thing which is kind of leaves me a little bit perplexed is the AtariBox, which they kind of teased, and everyone would have expected it to be the exact same thing as the Nintendo Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic, except they mentioned it's going to be using PC architecture, which could mean anything, but sort of sent everyone in kind of a frenzy. And so I mean, it very well could be a just, Atari classic games, Atari VCS 2600 classic games in small form, just like the Nintendo consoles. But if it's not, and if that, it's going to be using PC architecture statement has some kind of weight to it, what do you imagine it could be? Like, could it be a new console, or like, I don't see Atari doing something super serious.
I don't think there's the money in it, to be honest with you. When you look at the console formats there are now, we've got Sony, we've got Microsoft, we've got Google, and we've got Apple, who have gaming platforms,
and
obviously Nintendo. Those are the established companies that exist because they have platforms big enough that developers generate content for them. AtariBox. Atari is a great brand, and potentially it's been kind of, the brand has been bought to launch maybe some form of cloud streaming or gaming service. So kind of like on Live or the Gaikai, the PlayStation Now. It could be a service like that where it leveraged the cloud, in which case, interesting.
To play classic games? To play like Atari,
no, I don't
old
think
Atari
so.
games?
I think it would just be one of those things where, that would be a cool way if you were a new company coming to market with a lot of VC money behind you. Potentially you spend part of that with a deal with Atari to be like, you know what? I reckon we're going to cause more of a splash if it's, called the Atari online cloud gaming platform.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's
going to be some Android-based operating system playing old Atari games. Yeah. Which would be,
and maybe they open it and other people can put their games on them, and maybe it's Android, as you said, Android based, so it could be like a Ouya type deal. But even then, all of those have been tried. But I mean, if they make a $50 console that can play games like a Ouya, that can play games that you can download through a store, maybe the Atari name could carry it into. But who's gonna buy one of those seriously?
No,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Even as an Atari classic, I wouldn't.
It definitely doesn't have the
like these old games, but I wouldn't buy one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for Nintendo, it has a nostalgia factor that is immense. Atari is a name that everyone knows, and we do think of it fondly, but I don't know. I would much sooner buy a Nintendo classic console than an Atari classic console. It's almost same thing for a Sega console. I wasn't a Sega kid. I did have one at some point. I think both of them, but I would probably buy a Sega console before an Atari console because I mean, Adventure, Pong, Pac-Man, all of those are not. Yeah, and you don't have the same emotional attachment that you do to the characters from, or the games from the Japanese console makers. So I'm not sure what that's going to be. Talking about Sega, they have free-to-play games available on mobile platforms, which they've called the initiative Sega Forever. Apparently, the games aren't very well developed, and I haven't even taken the time to download them. So, but it's funny that everyone's getting onto that nostalgia bandwagon.
I mean, it makes sense because so one thing Sega does well is Sega has a lot of IPs, and there are a lot of well-loved IPs where we've grown up with Sonic, with Echo the Dolphin, for example. Now, there hasn't been an Echo the Dolphin game in forever, but Sega a couple of years back, I think, basically said, "Hey, indies, if you want to take our old IPs and run with them, we're here. We're here to talk to you. We want to find more companies out there." And yet, I haven't seen anyone do it.
Monster Boy, I don't know if that was part of that, but Monster Boy saw a remake, and it was pretty popular in France. So maybe it's a French company that did.
Maybe, but exactly, maybe. But that's the sort of thing. Yeah. That was the sort of direction that they wanted to go in. Like Golden Axe, amazing franchise, well loved. If you were to create an up-to-date modern Golden Axe, you would probably have a better chance than if you just made a game kind of like one up-to-date. Having that IP would bring in a lot of audience that then helps you get your first kind of foot on the ladder.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, Golden Axe is I have amazing memories of Golden Axe. It would definitely bring attention to. There are a few, but something like that would raise my eyebrows.
Exactly. So Sega, though, definitely in the PC space, are very forward thinking, at least in the Europe and American regions. In Japan, they aren't as embracing, I guess, of some of the newer kind of platforms and ways of doing business. But certainly you can see the way that Sega treats PC titles now is with such respect that it gains a lot of love from gamers out there. It's not always that they've got all the right kind of sliders and settings options unlocked and things like that, but at least they seem to try, and it is a thought less so than an afterthought. But with mobile, it just seems like this is an opportunity for them to port stuff over and see how well it goes. And
yeah, indeed.
It's one of those things. Again, these games weren't designed for this platform. Interface isn't very fun. They crash out quite a bit, and yeah, it's just one of those things where for $2 you can get rid of ads. But
still, it's not like the platform is made for those games anyway. We know they don't really work when you port them. The controls are wonky, and you have the things on screen that don't work very well. So I understand they're not putting a lot of thought into it, and it's just a way to make a quick buck. But
like Comic Zone, I remember renting Comic Zone from a video rental store, and I rented it for the weekend. I remember kind of playing through the first bit. And Comic Zone, basically, you play as this guy in a comic strip, and so you're kind of battling your way through each scene, jumping between panels, breaking the fourth wall all the time, making tricky jumps, and it was, from memory, an enjoyable game. Have I downloaded it on my phone? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I want to? Not really. But maybe.
And you alluded to it earlier. It's like we have, and we talk about it all the time. I think now it's become kind of a almost tired mantra for the past couple of years, and especially the beginning of this year. There are so many things to play. I don't know of many people who would go and play those old things seriously rather than the things that are coming out now. Especially last year and this year, and it's looking like next year is going to be just as good. So, yeah. Anyway, so if you are planning on buying the Nintendo Super NES Classic, and for another reason that the ones we mentioned on the show, and you want to let us know, please do. You can come to FrenchSpin.com on the notes of this episode and leave a comment. Maybe we're missing something, but I mean, lots of people are buying them, but a little bit more Nintendo news. Splatoon 2 is getting its multiplayer demo. The game is releasing July 21st, along with the Switch online app that lets you do things like see your friends, chat, and yeah, I'm not super excited about it, to be honest. It seems wonky. Have you seen that?
You can log in with Twitter, can't you? How does it work?
I don't have great hopes. The thing that killed me was, the fact that the chat is going through the app rather than the games on the Switch means that if you want to have a headset, then you have to have... did you see that Splatoon headset from Hori, I think? The manufacturer, where basically it's completely bonkers. Since you have two different audio sources, what you need to do is get your headset and have this adapter where you will plug the phone on one end and the Switch on the other end, and it will mix the two audio sources, and you will get the result in your headset. And so, you have the mic and everything, but you need to connect it to the two different devices. It's kind of, I don't know. Anyway,
wonky.
It's what, sorry?
It's wonky. Also, I don't like the Switch doesn't have Bluetooth. So all of my headphones nowadays are Bluetooth. So I've got to get a cable to plug them in, and it's just like, ugh, come on, Nintendo. How about my first world problem?
Yeah, so, I think the Bluetooth is a little bit more of a first world problem than the first and a half world problem of having two devices to plug in. But anyway, so that's happening. Splatoon 2 looks like it's going to be a little bit more different from Splatoon 1 than I anticipated initially. It's actually a worthy, it seems like the content is worthy of the number 2, a proper sequel rather than... It felt like a 1.5 initially, but now that they've shown more.
Yeah.
And then the other thing from Nintendo is that we have a confirmation that Fire Emblem has made more money as a free-to-play than Mario Run as a free-to-try. And that is worrisome to me, because I always thought, if Mario can't make it as a free-to-try game, like not free-to-play that you're going to sink in money indefinitely into the game, then no company can ever make a game on mobile that is not free-to-play, because they can't make it work. And now we have a confirmation that even Fire Emblem, with its much smaller amount of downloads, has already made more money. Do you think that's going to mean we're never going to see a free-to-start game from Nintendo, and they're all going to be free-to-play from now on?
I'd imagine so. If you look at the mobile market, that's just how it is. And it's like if I asked you for $20, or if I asked you for $1, and I just did that, 30 times, I reckon, you'd feel easier about the chucking out $1 a time than parting with $20 all at once. And I think the thing is had Mario been free to try and then $2 to unlock the whole thing, then Mario would have made more money.
Did you say $2?
Yeah. Because it was, what was it? It was like 12 or something, wasn't it? I
9,
can't remember what it was.
9, well, 10,
yeah.
10, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a chunk of change that's a bit daunting. And so... so the Goat Sim guys, if you've ever played Goat Sim by Coffee Stain Studios, it's a very silly game where you play as a goat, and it's all physics-based and it's very silly. They released a mobile version of the game, mainly because there were so many rip-offs on there. They thought, Struth, we should just put our one out on there. It was a premium purchase, and it went straight to number 1 on the premium, on the actual paid chart. And it was not in the top 100 grossing apps at the time.
Wow.
All of those apps were free, because to make money on mobile, you need a lot of people paying little bits. And that's just how it works. It's just the mentality of people. And over time, we spend more money. When I play Hearthstone, I didn't buy it and then pay $200 to unlock all the cards. I got it for free, and I spent $2,000 buying cards and all the rest, expansions.
Have you spent $2,000? No, you haven't spent $2,000.
Easy. I must have. I don't know. Yeah,
really?
Per expansion, I reckon I spend probably about $200, at least $200.
Each expansion? Jesus, you are the CEO of a major corporation. That's outrageous.
I've got an addiction. But the thing is, again, I'm not spending that all at one time.
Of course,
I'm buying, I'll buy the $50 bundle and feel like, that was good. I got extra value there. It only worked out 80 cents rather than $1 a pack. And then I'll do it again, later when it feels easier. I just forgot since the last time, or I really want to get those 2 other legendaries. I want to, I'll buy some more. I'll probably get lucky. Very often you do. But the games are built in that way, where you're meant to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's how. And with Hearthstone, it's even though you spent outrageous amounts of money, there is an end in sight. For the Hearthstone pack, you could conceivably get so many things that you would have most of the cards that you want. The treacherous thing with most free-to-play games is that you're paying for energy, kind of to unlock things that are it's like game. Although and it's I guess it's not that different from putting quarters in a machine, in an arcade machine, so I don't know that it is that more dirty or whatever.
You don't have to physically handle money. And if you notice how society, we've been introducing more card-based, plastic, electronic payments. Now with Apple Pay and contactless cards, I don't even type a number in. I just kind of wave my kind of watch or card at something, and the person.
And you don't think about it when it's not an amount big enough that it actually makes you pause.
These things. My phone doesn't ask me for my password anymore. It just says like, "Hey, do you want to pay?" I'm like, "Yep, I do." Cool. And it doesn't feel like real money, like a real transaction, like a lot of those things, and thusly you spend more. And it's that's the thing. And so Fire Emblem was designed as a free-to-play game. It was designed to have mechanisms in there that would frustrate you to the point where you go like, you know what? I'm a busy person. I'm going to spend, or I'm an impatient person. I'm going to spend. And it just, whereas, Mario was literally like, okay, we're going to gate certain content. If you want to play more, you're going to have to pay us some money. And that's not how it is. It should be like, oh, you're doing really well. You almost did it. In fact, if you just want another shot at it, that's only going to cost you 99 cents. And you're like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I was so close. Or maybe like, hey, if you need an extra 5 seconds, that's only, 50 cents.
I never
all of those
fall
sorts
for
of things.
These things. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever paid for anything free to play except for Hearthstone. Some of those quote unquote good free to play games, which I think are more. Yeah, but I mean, it's fine. We always say if people find their joy in those games, whatever it is, one of the millions of clones of Clash Royale and all of those, it's fine as long as you're doing it responsibly.
Kind of shooting smack and stuff like that. It's just like, if I'm going to go out and get really drunk one night, how much does that cost me, and what's my physical health afterwards versus spending the same amount over the course of a couple of weeks? Probably neglecting my family and my work and my hygiene. Just because I'm so glued to this addictive little phone.
I'll say one thing. I'm really happy that so far that trend has not come to dominate console and, PC games. I mean, there are a lot of free-to-play games, but it's free-to-play games where you buy something and they keep offering more of that one thing that you bought. It's not the energy model. And I think there's a very clear distinction between the two free-to-play models. One of them, you get something that you play with and you're excited because you want to get the extra thing they've added into the game. And the other is, as we've said, just paying for the energy and accomplishing nothing with that energy other than, getting to another place where you're needing more energy to accomplish the thing you want to accomplish. It's not like getting a character in League of Legends, paying for a character that you think is really cool and you're going to enjoy playing with that character specifically. And then there's another one you think is really cool, so you're going to pay again, or, these kinds of things. But,
well, again, when you look at certain games, again, they do it just cosmetic, and certain games do it as time. So they're like, hey, okay, you might not have as much time to play as this other person, probably because you have a job, and you probably earn money at that job. And hey, if you want to spend some of that money back in here, we're going to make it so that the time you do spend is accelerated. So, you're going to get faster leveling.
But
like
the mobile ones don't make cosmetic stuff. It's usually the energy / time thing, right?
Energy,
and that's what I really don't like.
And that's the thing. And so I think PC games and console games, they do have a lot of time-based, premium things out there. It just doesn't tend to be the big games. I think a lot of the kind of cheaper MMOs, a lot of the MMOs you pay for kind of better leveling and things like that. Sometimes you're
I'd say maybe they exist, but they're not. They're not a major trend in
they're
PC.
Not exactly. Whereas in mobile games, it's the equivalent of the AAAs are all doing time-based stuff, whereas our AAAs are doing cosmetic stuff. On console.
I really
and
hope,
also you get games like Hitman, which was released as like 3 levels, and then over time content drops came out, like a DLC drop.
Right, possibly the the first successful season, episodic content based action game ever made. Oh, and by the way, they got the IP. I don't know if you saw that, but IO Interactive became independent and they retained the IP of Hitman. And the first thing they did is remove that silly content protection DRM thing from the game. So
it's a great way, but that's a great way exactly to kind of win some faith with the audience and say, boom, instantly, hey, we're an independent company now. We're an indie. We don't care about this and that. We care about making good games. Yeah. Hitman was a phenomenal gaming experience today. When it came out, it was, a hollow game with 3 levels. And It's like, as soon as you finished it, it was like, hey, do you want to go back and replay those same levels 100 times with subtle nuances? But then they added in like special contracts. So it's like this weekend only, you have to kill this guy. You get 1 shot. And if you mess it up, that's it. If you try and do it on Monday, he's gone. You've got to do it now. And those sorts of things are really cool. And they kept developing and kept working with that. And it is a very rich, featureful game today. And it will be great to see them continue making more of those.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anyway, so that was our little discussion about free-to-play games. And unfortunately, it seems we're going to get more of them from Nintendo. I hope that we also have... I
love that. That means we're getting more Nintendo games.
Yeah,
it's tough to pay money. Did you ever play Pocket Mortys, the Rick and Morty kind of Pokemon game?
Oh no, I don't. I don't really like. Rick
and Morty. That's fine. You've got no taste. I understand. But basically, they made Pokemon a kind of a simple version, but in the Rick and Morty universe, and it was okay. It didn't have quite the depth of some of the newer Pokemon games, but it did have like microtransactions in where you could kind of open mystery Pokemons as such. If you imagine going to a poker center and there was like a raffle machine that you could pull a one-arm band in.
Right.
See, oh yeah, I got a Charizard. That would be a kind of a free-to-play Pokemon. Would that be a great Pokemon game? Probably not. Would that be a Pokemon game on my phone that I could play? Yes, which is more than I really have other than Pokemon Go. So maybe I do want that. Maybe that is a great way of doing it. Or maybe the Pokemon Go model of, hey, do you want to buy an extra incubator? Or do you want to get some of these things or those things? Is the better way of doing it. So who knows?
Yeah, Pokemon Go certainly made a metric ton of money or two. But all right. Anyway, let's move on to Blizzard. And a number of things happened in the world of Blizzard in the past few weeks. But one of them, which sort of got my attention, was the deal they have made with Twitch to exclusively stream esports content on their platform. So a number of the esports competition from Blizzard games, namely Overwatch, StarCraft, Hearthstone, are going to, and World of Warcraft is included in that too, by the way, are going to be streamed exclusively on Twitch. And it's not like, obviously Twitch is the platform for gamers to go watch video game content streamed, but they did experiment with other things. They had ESPN for some of the StarCraft, the Heroes of the Storm stuff, and maybe that's still going to be happening. The Heroes of the Dorm might still be on ESPN next year, but they also had that deal with. Actually, maybe Heroes of the Dorm was on Facebook this year. I can't remember. I think it was on Facebook. But so they had deals with those.
It was. So for streaming rights, I think now exclusively with Twitch.
Right.
But, cable broadcast and stuff like that may still show up on ESPN and stuff like that.
Right. So, okay, I actually have a question I want to ask you because you know Twitch pretty well. I can't work out if this is a deal which is more advantageous for Twitch or for Blizzard, meaning who got money out of the deal, if anyone? Because I can absolutely see Twitch paying Blizzard to have the exclusivity of those streams.
Would have, yeah.
And I could see Blizzard, making a deal where they would need to give something to Twitch to make it get some kind of promotion on Twitch and be front and center every time that thing, a Blizzard tournament happens. And so Blizzard would be maybe even paying something to Twitch to have that visibility on their platform. And I can't work out which one makes more sense.
I think it's both, really. I mean, so what this relationship means, and I don't know, don't take anything I say as fact.
We never do Turps, don't worry.
Chatting to Emmett, who's the CEO of Twitch, a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke of the partnership, but without any actual details. So I don't know actually anything as fact, but my interpretations are that the benefits for Twitch are obviously the exclusivity means this isn't on YouTube Gaming, this isn't on Mixer, this isn't on Facebook Live, this is on Twitch. So it's a very sensible decision for Twitch to be trying to secure big brand broadcast content. If they've got Overwatch League, for argument's sake, Hearthstone World Series and stuff like that, if these things are exclusive to their platform, they're guaranteeing those large audiences that follow that are on their platform. So that increases the value of Twitch as a place for other brands to advertise and to also want their stuff to be on, because that is where the audience is. It stops new places like Mixer, who are Microsoft, buying their way into the market by picking up some of those big stars. Twitch has always had a great relationship with Blizzard. Blizzard has always been in the top 10 of Twitch streamed games. It makes sense because Twitch has authentically been a PC streaming platform as much as it is now on consoles and actually now on mobile devices as well. So I can see Twitch paying money to have broadcast rights.
Okay,
on
so
top
that's
of
the
that,
more
though,
likely
you get the
scenario.
Twitch Prime, where Twitch Prime rewards loot crates in Overwatch. We got a new hero in Hearthstone. We're probably going to get free packs in Hearthstone. We'll probably get like a World of Warcraft mount or a pet or something in line with expansions or when they want to make noise. And that is a marketing spend from Blizzard, where Blizzard wants to promote something, and so they either are spending developer resources or marketing budget to do that. And so obviously that is a spend with Twitch. Blizzard also advertise through Twitch, so I'm sure they have a kind of a preferred rate in which they'll be able to buy cheaper advertising as part of it. So I imagine everyone's kind of doing okay and winning. Everyone feels like they've got a little bit like, oh yeah, we're getting all this great content and we've got great rewards going out to our Twitch Prime users. Blizzard's like, we've got all of these eyes on our products. We also get these cheaper rates when it comes to the ads or whatever. Again, I don't know what the deal is, but I can certainly see that kind of everyone's getting a piece. But I mean, it's a fantastic one to get. It's a great company to have on board because they're so invested in esports.
Yeah,
you look at StarCraft. Morheim is always watching the StarCraft finals at BlizzCon. That's where he lives, and so you now have the main focus of the company at the top has always been to create great games, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they are enjoyable in the esports world, or they live on longest and strongest in the esports world. So I think that it's a fantastic place to have a partnership.
Yeah, and it does seem exactly as you said. Basically, everyone's winning in that operation. I'm maybe it's as simple as that. Blizzard, there's money exchanging hands both ways through different channels, and maybe that's just what it is. But yeah, so we're going to be seeing a lot of exclusivity for Blizzard stuff on Twitch, which is probably a good thing because Twitch knows how to deal with streaming, which is not always the case of their other partners.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure, Twitch, as they always would have previously, highlighted big Blizzard products, but will more so promote this across everything. So I'm sure it'll be an exciting place to be. And Twitch, I know, has a lot of new features planned, of which I'm sure there'll be lots of Blizzard exclusive stuff along with those.
Ooh, what kind of features?
I don't know specifics.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that's probably a good deal for both companies, and hopefully you will benefit as well. A couple of other things from Blizzard specifically. I mean, the Necromancer is available in Diablo 3. Hearthstone Knights of the Frozen Throne was announced. I just want to mention for that for those who aren't following Hearthstone very closely, they've changed the way they do expansions and adventures, which are, content packs. They did that in the past in separate instances, but in this case, it's going to be when the expansion is available, you're going to have access to what was previously the adventure, meaning a little bit of solo content, which will reward packs from the expansions, and that's going to be available for free. So when the expansion drops, you're going to be able to go in and fight a number of solo bosses that you're going to be able to enjoy and get some free packs for it. So that is a little bit of a shift in the way they're releasing content. And finally, Doomfist is available on the PTR in Overwatch. Doomfist being, of course, one of the big big what?
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, no, it's not Terry Crews. But yeah, so as is the case every few months with Blizzard, like a super packed month with almost every game having lots of stuff. I mean, we're seeing the new content patch for World of Warcraft on the PTR as well, and there's some crazy stuff happening for the lore nerds there. Very quick take on all of this happening with Blizzard. Anything that jumps out at you and you want to comment on?
So, Knights of the Frozen Throne. You've got now, so it's Arthas is the Lich King. It's not Bolvar. It's a more serious approach. Like the Lich King isn't joking, so it's not like we've got some campy Lich King. He's going to be serious, and it's going to be a little bit darker, as Blizzard likes to venture into occasionally at Hearthstone. Give it a bit of contrast, but still will have some humor within it. The interesting thing, all 9 heroes get to become Death Knights with hero cards played. So if you manage to get a legendary hero card, it will allow you to play that hero in the class deck, and it will transform your hero, give it 5 armor, and then change its hero power over to something themed around a Death Knight. So the one they've released is a hunter, and the hunter gets to build a beast. So you'll be presented 2 random discoveries of beasts. So you'll see 3 beast cards, you'll pick one of them, and then you'll see 3 more beast cards, you'll pick one of those, and those will then be fused together to create one card with both sets of card text on there, all basically just stats and cost, everything added together that you can then play out if you've got the resource. So
it's a fun mechanic.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to see how the rest comes out. It's coming out in August, so we're going to be drip fed more stuff over the coming weeks.
That's a bit annoying, honestly, the way they do that. I understand they have like 130 cards or whatever for each expansion, but doing it like, I don't know, 3 cards a day for a month and a half is kind of, I'm sure the people who are very much into Hearthstone are, eagerly awaiting every new bit of information. But for me, who have lapsed out of the game, I'm a little bit like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just wait for the actual expansion, and maybe I'll look at it. But
yeah, exactly. It allows them to work in the new world of influencers, so they can be like, "Hey, you can have a card reveal, and you can have a card reveal, and you can have a card reveal." But
I mean, really, do you think it works for everyone? I think it's too long. I understand that, but if they did it over a week, I could get it. I could understand, but over like a month and a half or a month, it's...
I imagine, Patrick, in your old role as PR at Blizzard, you'd be tasked with trying to create awareness over a period, announcement period, and you're trying to think like, crumbs, I've got 6 weeks to fill. How am I going to get... what have we got to work with? We've got the cards. Okay. Well, if I do if I'll leave it, I'll announce it, we'll leave it a week, let it simmer. Then we're going to hit him with this card, and then the week later we're going to show these 2 cards. And it's just like, it's frustrating, but it seems to be that it has worked in terms of the game as a success. And I think often people are scared to try new things with successful properties in case the new thing doesn't work as well as the old thing, and if they get blamed. So I fear that until they do the same thing and it doesn't work, we won't see a new thing. But who knows?
Yeah, makes sense.
So, yeah. And then for Warcraft 7.3 on the PTR,
don't
it's very,
spoil.
very, very cool. I won't spoil, but it does spoil the ending. It is the ending. On top of that, there are assets from the next expansion that were put out alongside this PTR content that have been data mined. So already we kind of know where we're going. We kind of thought we were going there anyway, but it's closer to being confirmed as you can get without Blizzard actually saying, "Lol, trolled you. We put those in for a joke." So
I want to go look at those data mines things so much.
Exactly.
But I shouldn't.
Yeah, it's up to you. But yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And then Doomfist, really interesting character. I do want to... Necromancer, we've already talked about it in Diablo 3. Basically, if you're into Diablo 3, I think it's a good value. It's tons of fun. If you're not, it's not going to bring you back into it. It's probably not worth it. If you're lapsed, go check out Diablo 3. It has a lot of stuff that is super fun in the game already without the Necromancer. Lots of stuff that has been added. So if you have some time this summer, maybe go check it out. And there's even for this week, there's a new feature called the Challenge Rifts where you can play a Necromancer with a specific build for a little bit. So you can try that, if you want to see what the Necromancer is like. But yeah, so Necromancer, it's fun if you're into Diablo 3, and I think it's well worth the amount if you're a big Diablo 3 nerd. Doomfist, 100%. Doomfist, I did want to mention that he is super fun to play, and he's very different from all of the other characters in that game, in Overwatch, because he feels the most like a fighting game character. You have like a set of 3 or 4 different abilities that you can chain together in what looks very much like combos from a fighting game. And being the fighting game nut that I am, it speaks to me a lot. So, and I've been playing him a lot on the PTR. I think he's really fun to play. I'm not quite good enough yet with him that I would say it's one of my favorite characters, but I really like the direction they're going with this because it's a completely different way of playing the character than any other of them. And they're all quite different, but this is entirely different. So I appreciate that.
I think, yeah, exactly. It's a very mobile game in terms of the maneuverability and the kind of the action and pace of it all. But Doomfist does feel particularly agile. He's very fun to play. He rewards you for getting up close and personal and harassing people up front. It is, cool. It grows the story and the lore and the flavor of the whole space. And it's great to, as always, finally scratch off a sort of like so that's who Sombra is. Oh, Doomfist, I get it now. So we'll wait and see what the next Overwatch tease is. I was a little bit upset that the anime they launched him with wasn't a cinematic. If that had been a Blizzard cinematic of that same fight, holy nuts, that would have been like, award-winning beauty. It was a cool-looking anime. It felt a bit generic for me.
Yeah, I agree.
It could, but as a Blizzard cinematic, that same encounter, just throwing down, that would have been like the Avengers. Of just, you've got these cool superheroes teaming up against this unstoppable force. It would have been amazing. Oh, well.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone thought, the anime is so cool and so blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
It's an anime.
Yeah. I like anime, but I didn't think this one was. It was good. But I would have lost my crap if it was like you're right, CG.
Exactly. A CG of that same fight. Holy moly. That would have been so cool.
All right, let's move on and talk a little bit about PlayerUnknown's Battleground, which we've been talking about for a few months now, and that has been incredibly successful. It's passed 4 million copies sold. It's pre-access still, but it's pretty playable already. It's gonna be. They're gonna finish it and be done with it quite soon. Really,
so
they said it wasn't going to be available finished in the fall as they initially had promised. So they still have a little bit more time to go.
But I don't think it's going to be a perpetual early access title.
Right. We're months away, not years away. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, as the game goes, and I've said this before, but Brendan is the creative director on this. He's the guy behind the Battle Royale mods and stuff on DayZ H1Z1. And so this is the third time he's behind making this game. Bluehole, kind of, I guess their biggest game is like Terra. Hugely talented and big South Korean computer developer, and they work obscene hours. Brendan's Irish, and he was telling me that on his first day there, he was kind of, it was getting like 6 p.m. No one was, kind of packing up, getting ready to go. He's like, oh, fair enough. Well, I don't want to be the first out. I'll keep working on. Goes on to 7 p.m. No one's moving. 8 p.m. Still no one going. It was like kind of 10:30 where people started packing up to then go out as the team to go get wasted. Party till like 3 a.m. to then go home and be back in the office for 7 a.m. And it's an obscene work culture over there where they work so hard, so long. They have to party as a team and stuff like that. It's very rude if you don't go out with the team. And equally, which I found hilarious, it's obscenely rude to wake someone if they're falling asleep in a meeting. So, as I would be all the time on that work schedule, they would, you just have to oh man, we're all working hard.
It's funny that the Koreans and the Japanese hate each other so much because they are so similar. This is exactly the way it works in Japan. Exactly. It's for everything, they're incredibly similar. But it was, we were discussing this at Nerdtacular, and you did mention something I thought was really interesting. A lot of people are saying, PlayerUnknown's Battleground came out of nowhere, and it's kind of crazy, the popularity it's seeing. But you did mention it didn't come out of nowhere. It's the third time he's making the same game, basically. And it's picked up a following refined.
It's like Blizzard. Blizzard makes, like, Diablo 3 was made 3 times before we played it. They made the game complete and then we're like, you know what? It's not quite right. Now, had that been any other company, that would have been released in that state because it'd been like, well, we've made it now, and we'll see what we can do, see how people like it. But Blizzard, with Blizzard money, says, whoa, hang on, we'll do it again. The difference here is that this has been almost a public iteration that Brendan's gone through in terms of, here's my first concept and what I've done with the mod and then the team and then doing it with Daybreak on H1Z1 and going through all those different stages to now have cracked it with the arcade format that he has, where games are 20, 40 minutes long, depending how good you are. You jump in. It's not like DayZ, where like maybe an hour in you might find this, or like Rust, where like, oh, I finally learned how to make a shotgun. Now I've got to go get some metal. I've been killed. It's fast, high reward, high risk gameplay. It's very, very watchable. So it's done very well on Twitch, which has caused it to explode in popularity. Which creates
it's a super virtuous circle.
Exactly, they love the look of it, so they go out and buy it and they play it and they stream it, and it's fantastic. They've started adding in for custom modes different stuff, so they've done zombies, so you can have a zombie mode where you're kind of like you're up against rush zombies and things like that. And that kind of, I always worry when they start tinkering with it, because part of what makes that game so good is how pure that gameplay experience is. Brendan was saying to me, back, I was chatting to him months and months ago when it just come out, about how he still had aspirations to make a 1,000-player persistent like Hunger Games, where you go in there and you play for a weekend and see about surviving. And I was like, oh, never make that, because
now
as
you're
much
not
as,
so sure.
Like, well, he's saying like the tech just isn't there to do that sort of stuff, but the tech is now here to do what they've done. Right. But I think this game is so beautiful because of its snappy, rewarding, immediate content, and it's not a long slog of nothing happening for ages and ages, and then some excitement, and then nothing happening for ages and ages, or death feels like but it doesn't feel like a complete disaster. I die and I go like, oh well, exit game, join game. It's a very quick process.
That's what I still haven't played PUBG. I really should get it and play it now, because it's kind of really should. Professionally you can't really be taken seriously without having played PUBG these days. But let's be honest, no one takes me seriously anyway.
No, exactly.
But so I'm going to do that. But to me, what seems like the biggest strength of that game is that it's not like all of those survival games, which are, you build up your character for days and days on end. And like the quote unquote fun part of it is that you can lose everything if someone shows up and you don't quite know if they're friendly or not, or blah, blah, blah. And you can lose days of work if someone shoots you in the head when you didn't expect it. In this one, it's the super compactified experience of the same thing, but it's kind of like, the difference between an MMO and a MOBA, where you compact the experience of a leveling in an MMO into a 20 minutes or 40 minutes game in a MOBA. This is kind of the same thing, or that's what it feels to me like, with those very long-winded survival games compacted into a 20, 40 minutes experience. So, anyway.
No, very true. Now, the great things they're adding to the game are new maps, because it does get very samey just having the one map. They've added regularly new weapons, which change the game somewhat, but otherwise it's been just a huge amount of polish. They're just introducing kind of better animations, more quality of life stuff, new vehicles, new custom games, all of those sorts of things, and they are just nailing it continually. They're doing amazing stuff. So huge fan of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I think it's a fantastic game.
All right. It was Forbes who named the most influential gamer in the world, and that was Markiplier. It wasn't. It wasn't PewDiePie. It wasn't Yogscast or Turpster.
I guess PewDiePie. I guess he could
possibly. But I wanted to ask you, because I don't really follow the world of Let's Players on YouTube. And I was kind of shocked, because it's not that I knew of Markiplier as like a YouTuber from the periphery of my gaming knowledge. I had never heard the name. And it's is he So I'm guessing he's a huge deal, but I went to look at what he does, and it's very PewDiePie-y. It's like, he just plays a game and comments on it, but it's not like edited. It's just like, it doesn't feel like something that is for me. It feels like something that is for 10 to 12-year-olds.
Exactly, who are the audience of YouTube. But I mean, so obviously the term influencers, it comes from the fact that how do you label these online personalities? And the reality is brands have labeled us influencers because we influence purchase decisions. So if we play a game or wear a set of sneakers or drink a particular drink, in theory, our audiences are more likely to replicate that as they aspire to be more like us, or that they've gravitated to this personality that they feel is a good taste for their interests as well. Markiplier used to be no one on YouTube, as everyone did. But it's funny, actually, some of our guys here, so we've got a trio of creators at Yogscast called Hat Films, and they created a Minecraft narrative series, of which they kind of did open auditions. And one of the people to audition was Markiplier, and he's got a very deep voice. So he did some kind of audition tape stuff that he sent in, being like, I love you guys. I'd just like to, do some stuff. Here's my tape. And I always find it funny, because they were like, nah. and now you look at this guy is huge. And basically he came along and reinvented himself post PewDiePie's explosion of popularity, to basically be PewDiePie. And it is very strange that actually works. So when you look at Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, and PewDiePie, they're very similar in their style of content, and that seems to be what works really well for a particular audience, which happens to be huge. So it's a great niche that they're kind of working towards. They're all relatively trendy, attractive young men as well, who have higher than average female audience viewership. But there's nothing particularly special, shall I say, about any person on YouTube, just past the point that they did it for long enough to the point where they broke through. I always like to think of it like pop stars were, as I grew up, a lot of people wanted to be pop stars. And TV shows came along like Pop Idol, or Britain's Got Talent, or The Voice, or whatever they call them, X Factor. These shows were about people, everyone just aspires to be in this dream world of being fantastic, admired, entertaining and talented and all these things. But the reality is a lot of people, as much as they want it, they're not good enough. And occasionally there's people who are good enough. They just haven't been discovered, or they haven't had the opportunity to display that. For someone like Markiplier, he shows that he has a talent, but equally he also has a determination that others don't. He was doing this and he was working hard back when he was making no money and getting no views, but he kept doing it. And now he has lots of money and lots of views. And it's not to say that, oh yeah, just keep at it, kid, and one day you'll be a star too. No. If you're boring, you're always going to be boring, and you're always going to be dull. And as horrible as it sounds, you'll never be a star. But if you have,
you can also learn to be less boring, but
you could potentially, but you need to have something to begin with.
Yeah.
And equally though, you need to keep working at it. And so, like I said, all credit where it's due for someone like Markiplier, who reinvented himself. Saw what PewDiePie was doing, was like, well, I can do that, and then did it. Is amazing. It really is. It sounds like it would be easy to emulate someone else, but it's really not. And to do that every single day and, keep going with it, hat off to it.
I guess it reassures me a little bit that you're, explaining how Markiplier and Jacksepticeye are really doing the same kind of content as PewDiePie, because I don't really love that content. And so it's not surprising to me that I don't know who those guys are. By the way, Markiplier is at 17 million subscribers and Jacksepticeye at 15. So they're still very far from PewDiePie.
But even then, so subscribers are a weird metric to go off. YouTube went through a phase where it drove people to subscribe. So when you signed up to YouTube, you clicked on your interests. So, for example, you clicked gaming, and then you were subscribed to PewDiePie. You didn't choose PewDiePie, you were subscribed to PewDiePie in terms of like, here's some channels you might like. And different channels were in that mix, of which PewDiePie was very much always in that mix. So it shows, kind of 40 plus million people signing up and discovering this guy by default. However, so for example, the Yogscast, we were at about 1.5 million subscribers when that feature was introduced. We're now at 7 million subscribers on that same channel. And that was, I guess it's 4 or 5 years ago. We dropped off of that list as they cycled other people in, and they, YouTube has its own algorithms that it chooses, like, oh yeah, we think this channel is trending in the right way. This seems to be generating the right sort of responses, all of those sorts of things. But the reason these channels got so big was because that YouTube made them that big. What's more impressive is their viewership and watch time is still very high. PewDiePie gets, millions of views. At his peak, got tens of millions of views. But if you look at the viewership to subscriber, relationship, it's, like 10%. Whereas, other people get higher views and all the rest. Anyway, so YouTube's it's a funny, weird thing, but we do have this fascination and subscriber numbers because that was what was championed. Now, if you talk to YouTube, they talk about watch time, which is a private stat. So, it's hard for someone to tell, but basically it's how much time do people spend watching your content, how engaging is it, how special is that, and that's the stat that they use to kind of drive their recommendations now.
Yeah, it's funny because the stat that is being used for companies gauging the importance of an influencer is, well, I guess two things. The subscriber numbers are still very important. I'm guessing, but that's the chatter I'm hearing from companies who want to get influencers to talk about their product. It's like, oh my God, they have 3 million subscribers or whatever, and views on individual videos.
Yeah. So even then, the most important thing for any company trying to work with an influencer is relevance. It isn't audience size or viewers or anything. It's relevance. In that, if you have a product that kind of, that would be of interest to that kind of person, then you should work with them. So the classic example is, for example, PewDiePie very famously would get paid $80,000 to play a game. So that's how much a brand would have spent. I don't know what it is now. It may be more, it may be less, but they would spend $80,000 to get them to play a game. So, for example, Kerbal Space Program paid a heck of a lot of money to Maker Studios to have a series of their top gaming talent play Kerbal Space Program. Now, Kerbal Space Program, for those of you who don't know, is like a space sandbox. You build rockets, you launch them up. It's got a great personality behind it. But from that activity, they got nothing in terms of Kerbal. They got the videos, but sales were nowhere. They got the views, but sales were nowhere because they were having this very nerdy sandbox, space flight, Lego building rocket thing played by reactiony, funny, horror, whatever, jump scare channels. So they spent all this money buying the audience, and all they found is the audience that couldn't care less. And that is an experience that so many brands have gone through now, where they think, oh yeah, we want to get the biggest audience, we want to make the biggest noise. And it's not. You want to find the audience that is going to pay money to buy your thing. And so, often, like I said, brands learn the hard way. They go out there, they spend a lot of money, and they either think, well, this whole influencer marketing thing doesn't work out very well, does it? Or they realize, like, whoops, we made a mistake and we went for the wrong person. So relevance is 100% key. We've had it with Yogs where we've played the right game for a company before, and the sales have gone up to the same levels in terms of units sold as they would during a sale, even though the product's at full price. And we've had other times where we've played games that aren't right for us, and the needle's not really moved. And that's the important thing for both sides of the equation to learn, in terms of it's in everyone's best interest to only play games and promote things that genuinely they are excited about and would create content about anyway. So those are the most effective marketing spends. Just to go in a weird tangent. I can't speak.
Weird but interesting.
A transient tangent.
And a Tencent might also be appropriate here, since Tencent is going to be launching their super successful mobile game, possibly in the West, very soon. That game is called Honor of Kings, and it's basically incredibly similar to League of Legends, which, by the way, is also owned by Tencent, so it makes sense. And it's a mobile version of League of Legends, except it's not done by Riot, and it's not called League of Legends, but that's basically what it is. It is the one that we have a few MOBAs in Europe, in the West, I mean, and some people have tried to make the de facto king of MOBA genre on mobile, and no one has managed. And that game has done that in China. And they're getting ready to bring it to the West. And that's a big deal, because obviously if it works out, then it might mean that we will have a king of the MOBA genre on mobile as well as PC. So maybe
it might also mean that Riot finally launches another game. They've made so many and always been like, nah, it's not good enough. They have so much money, it doesn't make any difference. Everyone stopped playing
doesn't
League
matter
today.
for them. Yeah,
they could carry on, making League for the rest of time. But I would love them to kind of feel like, oof, we're losing traction here, guys. We should probably just take a risk on one of these projects that we weren't too sure about. Because
I hope they make one that I hope they make one that is worthy of their consideration. I would love to see another game from Riot. And, I never got into League of Legends because, it's just too hardcore for me, I guess. But it is an immensely talented company, and they have the luxury and the resources to make another game that would be the kind of thing that could rock the gaming world. So I'd be very excited to see.
That's the worst thing. That's what I don't like. It's a bit like Blizzard. Blizzard makes a lot of internal stuff that we never see. Riot makes a huge amount. So it was very interesting. When Overwatch was announced, Riot were kind of holding off announcing their, here's what we made from the team of Titan. Here's our version. And they never did. Because it was just that point where it's like, oh, I don't think ours is as good as that, or it's not as flashy as that. Well, let's not do it. And it just seems to happen. And I just really wish they would just put another game out there.
Yeah, but you don't want them to put a mediocre game out there. You want them to put
I don't know how mediocre it is. I wonder about their own standards. Like I said, because they've never released a second game, we don't really know how good something is for them. And they forget that League grew. League wasn't launched perfect and hugely successful. It did very well, but they iterated on it and they improved on it and they've remade it a couple times while it's been a live game. And I get frustrated because, I just think that, there's more good gaming experiences out there that we haven't been able to have because some guy's being a bit fussy. It's like, come on.
Stop being fussy is your message to Riot.
Because it might be that, Overwatch is a fantastic game, but it might have been that Riot would have found a better way of doing it. We just don't know. Who knows?
And we might never know.
I guess.
All right. Last tidbit, the PlayStation 4... so PlayStation Now includes some PlayStation 4 games. So if you don't know, PlayStation Now is that service that allows you to stream games, the videos of games, and you can subscribe and you can get all of these games that are included in the service while you are subscribed, and it's streamed to you. You don't download the actual games, you just play from a distant server, which is not great for super fast multiplayer games, but for single player games it usually works quite well. And now, until now, there was only PlayStation 3 games, but now they're starting to add PlayStation 4 games as well. So it might grow into a service that is really worth it. I'm sure it's already worth it for some people, specific cases, but it might be more interesting for more people as they add more PlayStation 4 games. And last thing is, I guess, a question to probably the both of us. Steam sales just finished a few days ago. I was wondering, I guess you already have all the games because you get them from all the companies, so I'm not sure you got any from the Steam sales themselves. I bought, you did? All right. So what would you...
one game.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
what did you get? Is it fun? Is it something? Is there something you would recommend?
I haven't actually even played it yet.
Oh.
I saw it played. Where is it?
What's it called?
I've got it in my... I want to get the name right. It's one where you play as a Roman gladiator. You run a gladiator thing. Hang on. Steam... I'm just going to look for it in my emails. It was Domina. That's the one.
Okay.
So it cost me £3.49. So super expensive. And basically, I fell in love with it because it's like 9 out of 10 on Steam. It's a very well loved game. And basically, you have a pixel kind of 16-bit looking gladiator, and you basically find them, train them, build your squad, take on different challenges. And what's really cool, if you stream it, you can connect the game with your Twitch account, and the names of the gladiators and the people you face will be taken from chat. So you can be on there, and it makes it a very fun game to kind of.
Is it an action game or like strategy?
It's like a management action sim. So you can control the combat, or you can let the computer kind of duke it out based on your stats and all the rest. And yeah, it's just I really like the look of it when I saw it played. I still haven't myself played it. Okay. Mainly because it's PC only, and I very recently got a Mac. So I don't want to install Windows on here, because then I feel like I'm an hypocrite. But I probably am.
You're going to need to at some point.
Yeah.
Just boot camp it. It'll be fine. That's what I do.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I got a number of games, but mainly I got Hollow Knight and Dead Cells. And I've played both.
Okay,
and they're really interesting. I mean, Hollow Knight is basically Metroidvania, and it's incredibly pretty. Like, the art style is really nice. It's weirdly depressing, but at the same time very thoughtful, and you kind of piece together the things from what the world is. I wouldn't say about, but what the world is, slowly as you go into that the deeps of that cave you're exploring, and it's very well done. It's very nice. I'm not sure it's a game I will finish. I've played just a little bit, but it's the kind of thing that if you pick it up, no matter what kind of gamer you are, if you pick it up for cheap enough, it's worth at least playing for a couple of hours because it's interesting. And the other one I got was Dead Cells, which everyone has been talking about for a few weeks, and it is really interesting as well. It's kind of a mix between a Metroidvania and a roguelike, and it's got this very stylized pixelated retro look, which really works. It's at the frontier between pixelated and just animated art blobs, and it has great personality, and the gameplay is very, very tight. It's a bit too difficult for me, and the thing is, I'm already spending so much time in other games that I don't think I want to take the time to get good at this one on top of everything else I'm doing. But again, it's kind of an interesting take on that that genre of game, which is original enough that if you like roguelikes and these kind of things, it's worth looking into. It's still in early access, but the game is very, very playable. So Dead Cells and Hollow Knight are the two that I got.
Cool. Nice.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Might you tell the audience, if they don't know, where they would find more of what you're doing?
Well, I'm going to instead plug the game that we've published, because that's far more interesting to a gaming audience. So Cave Blazers, if you haven't heard of it, check it out on Steam. It's a roguelike Spelunky type adventure game where you kind of randomly build your character, and it's super tricky, super hard. It's great fun, and we are launching local co-op soon-ish.
So
feature,
just to explain, it's
soon-ish TM is our one, yeah.
No, but I mean the local co-op is the one with the super interesting like division of the screen that updates,
yeah, exactly.
Like,
we're not
moves.
sure if we're going to launch with it as well. We're worried that it might be a bit kind of motion sicknessy.
Oh, really?
But
okay.
That's why we're still testing it at the moment, just trying to get it. And so I'm playing quite a lot of it at the moment. It's really good. It's really fun. And also with co-op, when you die, you can possess objects as a ghost. So sometimes you could like find a chest that would normally be out of reach, but you can kind of possess it and jump it off a ledge so that your friend can get it. Your friend, if they find a resurrection type artifact or item, they can go back to your corpse and res you. But otherwise, you just kind of float around as ghost. So there's new gameplay that's added with the local co-op, and then once we've got that settled. We're going to work on the online multiplayer, which will really open that up, obviously, in terms of the amount of fun you can have with friends around the world. We love it. It's a really good game. It's done really well. PC Gamer gave it, I think, like 82, 84, something. You know, it's a good game. It's a good game.
Genuinely a good game.
Genuinely a good game. Rock, Paper, Shotgun love it as well. So people who have good taste like it. So I'm very proud of it. I think it's really good. I still need to, like, Scott hasn't let me know. For Natacular, everyone who went there should get a free copy. But Scott. So we will be getting those out. So Patrick, you'll get one through that anyway. It's really good fun. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. See if it's the sort of game you're interested in. If not, no worries. You know, I bid you adieu. So Cave Blazers on Steam. Give it a Google and see if you like
$10. It's almost nothing, and you pay once and you have the whole game.
That's it. Exactly. It's
incredible.
A premium experience. We've got no microtransactions.
As of yet,
DLC planned.
You never know.
No, I mean, again, I don't know. I think we're going to add some. We're going to try and add some items for our charity stuff. But we'll see what comes after that.
And user reviews on Steam, recent, very positive. Overall, very positive. So there you go. People like it.
It's a very positive. People do like it. So check it out.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Once again, it's called Cave Blazers. And for me, I'm Not Patrick on Twitter and Facebook. You can also find me at FrenchSpin.com, where I host the shows that I produce. There's Pixels and, of course, the Phileas Club, which is a show where we talk about politics or world news, rather, with people from different countries. So every month we get together and we talk about what's been happening in the world, and we get opinions and views from different people from different countries. Like we might get someone from the US, someone from Sweden, someone from France, someone from the UK, someone from Thailand, someone from China, someone from who knows, any country is welcome. So that's a project I really enjoy doing. And you can find it at FrenchSpin.com on top of the other shows, the other episodes of Pixels, including the one about E3 that we did. It was the last time. And I think, so I might skip another episode for the next one because I'm kind of taking a couple of weeks off, but we will be back after that for the month of August, and there will be some interesting stuff happening at Gamescom towards the end of August that I'm really looking forward to.
Exciting.
Thank you so much for being on Turpster. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will talk to you soon. Bye. Yeah, that's public information. See? Maybe I
is it?
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I don't know. Is it?
All right. So I'll just delete this part of the recording.